Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Tim Meyer, here for the Romeo Sports Recap, powered by the Mitt TV. Remember, this show is available on both YouTube and Spotify. And before we begin, a word from our sponsors. This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and can even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com. That's mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Romeo Sports Recap Show. Today on our show, we have Romeo football players. And the first two players that we're going to talk to today, Jake Turley and Aiden Rocha. And gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell the folks a little bit about yourself there and what position you're playing for the Bulldogs?
I play middle linebacker.
I play D-line.
And how long have you been playing football?
10 years.
Yeah, I've been playing for as long as I can remember.
And what do you like about the game itself?
I'm being honest, I really just like going out there and hitting someone.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to, take out your anger after, a rough day or something like that.
And you don't get any prison time for it, right?
Exactly.
So it's been a bit of a challenge this year, but it reminds me a lot of last year, where that first game was a tough game against a tough opponent, and it was close right to the very end. Tell me a little bit about that game, and I know it's the first game and you're still getting things sorted out, but towards the end there, it looked like you guys kind of had them, but they had a tough quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
That game, it was all just stop the run. They had that one running back, and they just ran the option the whole game, and I think we really started stopping towards the end of the game, and then they started keying on the pass a little bit more.
I mean, he was like a little house. That running back, and I don't know. I know you were out there trying to tackle him. I mean, you hit him, and what was it like to hit the guy, and how hard was it to bring him down?
I mean, when you hitting him in the hole, it was he kind of you just both stop, and then everyone else is there to make the tackle, so it wasn't that bad to take him down.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't really too hard to bring him down. I feel like, once you get some momentum going, you eventually bring him down pretty easy.
And did you guys, in overtime, you guys were ahead, and they went for two, and it looked like it was going to be an interception from up where we were in the press box. I mean, what was going through your mind when the guy caught it?
Before the play, we talked about we didn't expect him to throw the ball. We were expecting him to run, so I was expecting a run, and then once I saw him actually throw the ball, it was kind of just like a shock almost, not expecting that to happen in the late part of the game. So
You thought they were going to give it to their running back?
Yeah, but once I saw that wide receiver go in motion, I was like, it's probably going to be a pass. And that outside linebacker that was covering him was supposed to blitz that play too.
And never did.
Mm-mm.
No. So then he's not on the show tonight, right? Okay, that's why. Yes, he was supposed to. Then the next game, Grosse Pointe South, he had to go down there. Grosse Pointe South in recent years has been a tough team. What do they got this year?
I think they just got a really good all-around team. They're smart. They play football the right way. They really didn't make a lot of mistakes against us.
And you guys made a few?
There's a couple plays where they gained a couple yards off us.
Mm-hmm. Well, you also had 3 turnovers in that game.
Yeah.
And it's hard to win when you turn the ball over that much, even against worse opponents, I suppose. What did Coach say to you after that game? Because now you're 0-2, but what did he say? And you got Eisenhower coming up.
Coach Ryan, he's just, it happens, but, we got to bounce back. He knows with the talent we have, we can, bounce back this week and for sure have a really good game on Friday. So, he was just telling us to keep our heads up, just get some rest and get back to work on Monday.
What did you see in the films that
that you reviewed this week, the game against Grosse Pointe South, that maybe you can do different against Eisenhower?
I know there's like just little mess ups that every player kind of had. Like our offense, although O-line didn't play the greatest, but they had a lot of great plays too. And then our linebackers missed a couple tackles, and our DBs missed a couple plays too. But everyone just had a little couple mistakes, and it just kind of cost us.
Yeah, just like one or two people just being a step late, not seeing the where the ball was going, just little things like that was the main reason.
Now, as I alluded to before, last year's team was 0-2 as well. You maybe compare last year to this year. What do you think are the differences?
I think we just got like a lot of depth, like for sure. Like we got a lot of more guys that can, come in and like be an impact versus, we had starters last year, but there wasn't much. So I think we have a lot of guys that can for sure help us, either get a break or just actually make impact plays in the game. So I think that's the difference from last year.
I think the difference from last year is we should probably have a lot more team chemistry. I know last year after a loss like last week, there would probably be a lot of fighting in the locker room, but this year there wasn't that much.
Well, you had a star player last year. Victor Earl was kind of a star player, used like a dish rag. I mean, he was just worn out after the games. But this year it looks like you guys do have more of an opportunity to spread the ball out a little bit. Is that true?
I mean, yeah, I think we have a lot of guys that can all, step up and make plays at all different times. I think, it's different than last year for sure.
I mean, yeah, you got a lot of people on offense that if they got the ball, I would count on them to make plays and score.
And your quarterback play this year, your opinion of that? Even though you guys are on defense, but you face him in practice.
I mean, I think both our QBs are playing really good in practice. It's just see how if they could step it up in the game now.
Yeah, for sure. I think they both put up good reps in practice. They both come to compete. I think that, just whoever can show up more on game day, I think is the big thing.
Mm-hmm. Who has stood out in your mind besides yourselves? Who has stood out on the team to you that you're kind of impressed with?
I would say like Carter Sutton plays DN for us. He was making a lot of plays against Grosse Pointe South. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think our O-line is there's a couple young guys on that crew that stepped up even though we ain't really expected this year. So props to them. But there's a couple kids in there that are proving themselves this year for sure.
Well, I'll ask you this question. Besides football, and this is probably all you're concentrating on, and schoolwork, of course. What do you guys do when you're not playing football?
I like to go hunting and fishing. I play a lot of video games too.
I like to go up north or go to the gym and play video games. That's really what I do.
There's a lot of guys in the Romeo team that like to hunt and fish and go up north. You guys go together at all, or
No, not really.
this is a chance to get away from it all?
Yeah, for sure.
And this next game, this will probably air after you play that game, but give us your thoughts about homecoming game, playing a rival like Eisenhower.
I think it's a good way to show the home crowd, especially against a rival. There's more coming up to the game. There's more like it's worth more. I feel like.
I mean, yeah, it's with that rivalry against Ike. I feel like we have more to prove because them being ranked so high in the state and us being 0-2, it's just we're gonna want to go out there and prove ourselves.
And do you talk to some of the guys from Ike? Do you know some of the guys? You talk trash to them, or do they just are they quiet? Well, tell me what those interactions are like.
I feel like personally, I try not to get into like outside things outside of football, but for sure, we're seeing like stuff on social media of them like what they think they're gonna do to us on Friday. So
I mean, I don't talk to them much, but seeing the stuff on social media, it just kind of makes me want to go out there and beat them.
Well, what do you think you got to do to beat them? I mean, what's going to be the key to victory?
I think just being ourselves, knowing what we can do in practice, showing up on Friday and doing the same exact thing, not trying to do too much, just doing our job really.
Jake?
I mean, just kind of containing their speed because I know they got a lot of speedy guys on that team. So if we could stop them, I feel like we have a good chance.
Now, being in MAC Red, and we'll briefly touch on this, but it's not one of the easiest divisions to play because after Eisenhower, you got Chippewa Valley, then you got Anchor Bay, and then Dakota. I mean, there's like a buzzsaw there. How do you guys survive that?
I think it's, what Romeo's known for. We're not the biggest guys out there, but we know how to, mentally, we know how to show up on Fridays, prove why we're in the MAC Red for sure.
I mean, I think it's just we got to be a team. We got to play as a team. If you can count on the people that are out there playing on the field with you, then you can have more faith in yourself and you can go out there and make the play.
Okay. Well, tell me who your biggest fans are.
Probably my parents for sure. Like, my mom did a lot for me in the off season, helped me get better. So, and my father obviously supports me all the way. So for them for sure.
Yeah, I'd say probably my parents, my sisters. I mean, my sister drives home from East Lansing every weekend. I come watch games.
Well, the cheerleaders support you. I know that. They told me that. But I wish you the best of luck the rest of the season, guys. And, hopefully we'll get back on the winning track just like last year and, bring in a playoff team.
For sure.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be back with more players right after this.
Before we continue, here on the Romeo Sports Recap Show, a word from our sponsors.
This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and can even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com. That's mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com. Now back to the show. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Romeo Sports Recap Show. I'm here with a couple other Romeo football players, Alex Kelly and Jackson Swartz. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on the Romeo Sports Recap.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
So, are you sore?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A bit.
And you still got to go through practice?
Indeed.
You know what?
How do you do it? I mean,
The weekends.
Motrin.
Motrin. There you go. Yeah, a little pain relief, right? So we touched a little bit earlier in the show about the game against Grosse Pointe South. How do you feel? Do you feel if you had that to do over again, it might be a different result, or were they that good of a team?
100%. Yeah.
You feel that if you had a chance to do it over again? What about you, Jackson?
I 100% agree.
What do you think you'd do differently if you were playing them again?
I think if we just came out with more energy, I think that our main problem was that we just came out kind of flat, just never really recovered from it. So I think if we just kind of came out, knowing that they were going to bring the energy, I think that we would have, stepped it up.
I definitely think we came out a little bit too overconfident and guessing throughout the whole game, I'd say.
Well, you're a linebacker, so you have to read
Safety,
so you have to read your key. You're big enough to be a linebacker. you have to read your keys there too. What are some of your keys that you're looking for out there so you know which way to go?
Well, quarterback is number one. Obviously, where he looks, I go almost pretty much, and then I go from inside to out or outside in, depending on what the coverage is.
And Jackson, as an offensive player and a tight end and stuff, what are you reading out there as far as the defense goes?
As a tight end, like you kind of do everything. So, like your main thing is like you got to beat that D end, like because throughout the whole game, like that's like your guy pretty much. I mean, you're blocking some linebackers, but for the most part, it's that end. So really, you're just trying to in the early game figure him out, and then you got to start beating him eventually. And when you're running routes, it's pretty much just like reading the coverage, like in your stance, seeing where you think everyone's gonna go, and then making yourself, a big target for that quarterback.
And you finding holes in the zone, or is there some team that, did Rochester Adams play you tougher than Grosse Pointe South?
I mean, I didn't really run many routes against Adams. We kind of ran the ball on them a lot, but it's really if it's zone, it's really just trying to make sure that you're finding that hole and like making sure that you're getting in front of guys because like most of the time, like when the quarterback gets in trouble, like you're who he's looking to because he knows that you're the big target. You're the guy that's gonna have the wide catch radius.
Do you tell your quarterback that?
Yeah.
Do you tell him that you're there? I'm open. Do you go back to the huddle and say, I'm open, I'm open?
I try not to, but sometimes you got to.
Yeah. And Alex, last year's secondary was decent, but I think this year you guys show a little bit more.
Yeah, so I started last year. I'm a returning starter this year. Joey Badalamenti, who's with me now, he was rotating in last year with Owen Youngblood. He was rotating in every other drive. So now that he finally can get in every single drive, I think he's totally got the hang of it. And he's bigger than Owen Youngblood, so I definitely think we gained some size there.
And what's the toughest part of playing your position? What makes it like drives you nuts that out there that makes it tough to play what you do?
It almost seems like I have every wide receiver to cover. If everyone goes deep, I have all of them. I have the biggest zone.
You can't like split yourself up into threes.
Unless that's called, but even so, I usually have the biggest radius.
How do you anticipate maybe a pass count and picking one off? I mean, do you have that sense of like, hey, I think I can get this. This guy's going to throw over here and cheat a little bit, or what?
Well, film is obviously the biggest thing you can look at to know. You can almost memorize the routes and whatever formation they're in, and it's all in the quarterback too. And the quarterback doesn't have time with our D line. The quarterback doesn't have time to look one way and then the other. So if I can go that way, he's not going to look back and give it to the other side.
And Jackson, I would ask you this: last year's team. I mean, you had Victor, and he was a star. But what about this year? Who do you got that you're blocking for? Who do you got that quarterback that you may have confidence in?
I love both our quarterbacks. I think our quarterbacks are like some of the best quarterback talent we've had since I've been here. I trust either one of them if they get into the game.
What do you think makes him that way?
Coach Paul Hurley, he's all-stater. He went to college, played D1,
Oh, he's back here.
Yeah, he's a quarterback coach, I just think that he knows what he's talking about. Like when there's no doubt about it, when he goes to say something, like he knows what he's talking about. And I think that really helps having that kind of like coach player like communication.
Yeah. And you were telling how you think they're probably better this year. At least they're better compared to, other years. You think these guys are better?
I mean, I certainly think so.
Yeah. What makes them so special?
I just think that they've got like stereotypical quarterback builds, you know what I mean? And like they're both just really efficient at throwing the ball. Like when they get back into the pocket, like they both throw tight spirals. They're really good at reading coverages, and just everyone kind of trusts them when the ball leaves their hands.
So the reading part is really important, because that can lead to turnovers. But how about the guys you're blocking for?
Landon Fetty, our running back, week 1, he tore his meniscus, but he was a really good player. He's only a sophomore, and he's gonna be a dog coming up these next 2 years. Now we've got Tayshawn Proctor, Parker Cahoon, 2 other sophomore guys that are also studs. A little bit young, but they're guys that you like and that you want in your backfield to run the football.
And any of those 2 guys got any great moves, or?
I mean, just hard runners. That's all you kind of need.
Well, that's a Romeo reputation is always having a hard runner. Many years it's been like that.
Absolutely.
And so that nothing's changed as far as that goes. What do you look forward to with the Eisenhower game? They say they got all kinds of speed out there, Alex. And how do you think you're going to play that?
Deep, for sure. Deeper than usual, and cheating more.
Now, do you think their quarterback this year is better than Crum last year?
I don't think. I think they're about the same. I think they both can throw the ball far. I don't know if they have the reads though, the right read.
And what do you think? Can you can confuse them a little bit when they're reading out there?
For sure. If I stay over everything, they're not going to know what to do.
Yeah, yeah, that may be true as well. We talked to the guys before this, Alex, about the little house from Rochester Adams, what he was like to bring down. He got into the secondary a few times. How did you feel about grabbing his guy? What did it feel like?
Oh, like when they had deep plays on us, passing plays.
Well, this number 13, the runner.
You know what? He wasn't a hitter. He was more get out of the way and not get hit. So I think laying it was definitely the move.
Yeah. And how about Grosse Pointe South? What would you have done differently there?
For me, I definitely guessed like their first touchdown instead of staying over top. I guessed and let the guy get loose and behind me.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about the rest of the schedule. I mean, you guys are in the MAC Red. It's like I don't know. I'm not brave enough to go in there because I've been on the sidelines in too many of those MAC Red games, and there's some viciousness that's going on. I mean, how do you sustain yourself through this?
Just kind of trusting each other as a team. I just think that we're good enough to play with anybody that comes on the field, and that's always been Romeo's attitude in the MAC Red, and that's why we've always had successes. We might not be as big and just like natural talent, but we're gonna work for it, and we're gonna make that you played a football game on Friday, on Saturday.
Absolutely, I think it's going to be a tight, close game every single time. We're gonna come out there ready to play, especially with this loss, the 2 losses previously. We're learning from our mistakes,
and it's homecoming too, right? So. We're gonna probably be a big crowd, and that'll be great. And you guys get fired up when there's a big crowd. And
yeah,
definitely.
It does fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's better than that. I talked to the soccer guys. They don't get too many people in the stands. They get some, but not enough not like you guys. And so I'm sure they'd love to have a whole cheering stadium, but it doesn't happen. So you guys get the I guess the spoils, if you will. Jackson, what do you like to do besides play football? I mean, what else do you do?
I like hanging out with my friends and like playing video games, and I also do like this club called Mock Trial.
What's that?
Basically, it's like just students that like want to go into like law-based professions and stuff. So we just like act out like trials, basically like as lawyers and witnesses, and like compete against other schools.
So you're arguing. Don't ever get in a relationship with a girl.
Big arguing.
Debating everything, right?
Yeah.
How about you, Alex?
I golf a lot. Not that I don't do it as a sport or anything. I do it. It's relaxing. It's fun. It actually makes my back feel better sometimes. I don't know how, but it makes it feel better.
It's a violent action there to swing. I mean, I like golfing too, but it's that's the last sport I can do at my age. But yeah, it's fun. That's fun. What about you play basketball too, right?
I do, yeah.
So my color commentator, Andrew Welch, says that you can jump out of the gym. Is that true?
I try. I try to.
You can dunk?
I can, yes.
Wow. I could dunk with a Nerf ball. If you hang it on the door. So what else do you like to do besides that? Any other social activities? Hang out with
friends, I don't fish or hunt like those guys, but
well, you golf.
Video games. Yeah.
You golf, so that takes up some time.
Mm-hmm. Tennis too, actually. Some of my friends play tennis. I like to get out on the court.
Okay. Plans after high school?
Hopefully to pick up a football scholarship somewhere, just try and get some money off of college, and then eventually go to law school and become a lawyer.
Same here. I would also like to find some type of athletic scholarship and go into a business type school, then into finance.
Yeah. So money guy. and a lawyer, and he can make sure you stay legal and get you out of trouble. That's great. You want to say hello to your folks out there? Anybody special?
I'll say hi to my mom. Hi, Mom.
Mom, Dad, hello.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you guys
course.
coming on the show, and best of luck this weekend and the rest of the season here in Romeo football.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Romeo Sports Recap. We just kind of want to recap a little bit about what's going on so far. The seasons have started for all the fall teams, and the volleyball team, the girls' volleyball team, is doing excellent. They are doing great. They just beat 9th-ranked Brighton, and they are in the top 10 rankings. They are honorable mention, so that's a great start. They got great chemistry on that team, and well, I think the next Romeo Sports Recap show, we'll have to get them on here. They've done a great job. And, of course, Romeo Soccer has been doing great, too. Vinny Vasilevsky's got the guys playing. They've had tough games. They're 5-2-1 overall right now. They got a big win against Dakota the other night. And so they're looking through a tough week this week. But we'll have more updates on those guys in the future. And golf, the girls' golf. They're hitting the heck out of the ball, and they're putting the ball in the hole, and they are 5-0 and first place in the league. So that's great. Tennis, Matt Burr. Matt Burr's going to give us an update a little bit, but I'm assuming they're doing well. He had a great team coming in here, and the swimming team with Sue Thrush has been doing great. Some of the girls there that are swimming that have done a particularly great job. Alyssa Chambers and Izzy Greco, Izzy Wisniewski, Shelby Pegg, Lila Brazu, and Heather Sowage. They're all doing great, and the swimming team has got divers too, so that's better than the guys did. But they're doing pretty good too. For the Mitt TV, we'll see you next time right here on the Romeo Sports Recap.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to this episode of the Romeo Sports Recap Show, powered by the Mitt TV. Remember, this show is available on both YouTube and Spotify. You can subscribe to the Mitt TV YouTube page and click the notification bell to stay up to date on the latest episodes of the Romeo Sports Recap. Or you can find us on Spotify and follow our podcast, Romeo Sports Recap. From the Mitt TV, I'm Tim Meyer, signing off with a final word from our sponsors.
This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and can even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com. That's mitt.tvpodcast@gmail.com.